Dave here with Half Dozen Customs. We are back out here on the Jeep today, and we're gonna cut these pieces for the seat brackets. So here's kind of what I came to figure. The last thing that you seen us do was we came in here, we removed some plates that were on both sides from a previous seat. And then there was these brackets that were here that I cut off a while ago, but just kind of half-assedly cut them off. So we cleaned that up. And here's what I'm thinking. So, measuring across this box, we're 46 inches. And then if I measure these seat brackets, we're about 40 inches or so. So there's 6 inches difference. I've already gone through and done this, so 6 inches. So if we split that, 3 on one side, 3 on the other, it looks like, about 3 inches is going to land us right in between this brace here and our seatbelt there. So I figured, from the back wall to the front, we're about 23 and a half. So I'm going to do 26 inches. So that'll give us just, I know that it won't be that much, but for the bend, just say a half an inch. And then that'll leave us, about 2 inches coming down that front for us to bolt into the front there. So 26 inches I'm gonna make 2 pieces, and then we'll kind of lay them in there and see where I'm thinking. I'll look underneath the truck, just double check, make sure we got plenty of clearance under there where we know that we're going to be right next to that seatbelt bolt. So let's go underneath, let's look at that seatbelt bolt, make sure we got room next to it to drill a hole through, and we'll drill 2 holes in either end of that plate. The stuff that we're going to be using, we'll do that before we make the bend. And then once we get the holes drilled in there, we'll lay it in there. I'll mark underneath where we're at that front of that box, and we'll put a bend in it. My brake, of course, isn't gonna do it. It's possible I could do it with the press, but the press is not set up for that at the moment, so I would actually have to make it set up for that. Maybe we'll do that, maybe we won't, I don't know. The only other thing I can think of is a vise, and we'll heat it up and bend it. So but yeah, let's get these cut real quick. We'll do some checking and some measuring. We'll put some holes in it and we'll go from there. All right, so I measured out 26, and we'll cut this one, and then we'll measure out again, and we'll cut the next one. That's a pretty straight cut. Always second guessing this machine, because sometimes it cuts straight, sometimes it does not. Oh no. Well, there went that my front just flew off, and my thing just rolled up inside. This is from JC Licks. My dad gave me this when I was a little kid. I've had it all my life almost. So, all right, well, I guess it's time to get a new tape measure. All right, I got those cut. Let's clean them up a little bit. There. I'm going to crawl under the truck real quick and just take a look at that seatbelt thing down in the bottom and just make sure. It took me a minute to find it because it's way up in there. But it looks like we're clear. I don't see anything that would obstruct us from doing what we're planning. Okay, so I laid it in the truck, and so this will be where we put our bend. I marked a hole there. And then I marked a hole here. This is like right next to this is where the seatbelt bolts. So, we'll drill this out. Okay, so hopefully this will work. Now nothing seems to be wanting to stay straight. I loosened everything up, I straightened it all out. By the time I got it all cranked back again, it's all crooked again. So I don't know. So anyways, I got this from my buddy that owns the Jeep. You can tell that it's homemade. It was in his shop when he moved in. And he has a big boy one, so he gave me this one. It's been sitting in the corner. I've never really used it for anything other than cracking a couple of walnuts open for Colleen. So if I can make this work, you know, I put a couple pieces of angle iron in there, we're gonna weld them up, and then hopefully we'll be able to put this piece in there, and hopefully it'll bend it. I don't know, we'll find out. I know the bigger ones, they make a kit just like this. I forget who it is. It's some off-road company that makes a kit like this that attaches to the bigger ones. So it should work, but will it? I don't know. But I guess what we can do is we can weld it up and we can find out. And I guess if it doesn't work, I can cut it back apart. So should I have made this all removable? Yeah, maybe, but you know what? I've never used it for anything else. So if this works, then maybe it'll get used. If not, like I said, I can always cut it. Maybe it'll work. Maybe it'll become a 12-ton freaking slingshot at me. Let's hope that's not the case. It's like I need to make a cup or something for the top to sit in. What do you think? Is it gonna work? I don't have much faith in this. Nope. So it just destroyed the angle iron. Like, it's strong enough to do it, but this metal. Nope. Well, that sucks. How are we gonna bend this? It didn't even put a bend in it. But it destroyed the angle iron. Maybe I should let it cool off first. I don't think it would have mattered, but I'm sure it didn't help now. Alright, well, back to the drawing board. I'm gonna think about this. I'll let you guys know what I figure out. Okay, I'm gonna try something else. Hopefully it'll work. So I straightened out the angle iron that we bent, and then I cut what was left of what we are trying to bend, and I'm gonna put it up just like that, and we're gonna weld it. And hopefully this will add enough strength to the angle iron that either the top one will bend or it'll bend what I want it to bend. Either way, something's gonna bend. So let's let's see if we can bend something. Okay, well, hopefully that added the strength that we needed. I should probably wait for this to cool off. Okay, so what had happened there was I had two welds, one at the front, one at the back of this pole or pipe bar, whatever you want to call it, that comes down. And you can see it started to bend it, so that's awesome. It's doing what we want it to do. But then one of my welds broke, and it started going crooked. So I reinforced it with some extra welds, and hopefully now we'll be okay. All right, arc on. I think it needs a little bit more. I don't know if this will do it. We'll find out. If not, I'll put it in the vise and smack it with a hammer now. All right, well, it's in, and that's gonna work great. You can see there's a little gap in there, but that's because I'm not all the way up against the back. So probably need to notch out like this brace a little bit so that can slide underneath there. And then it'll slide back where we need it. But cool, we did it. Yay, we did it. So it worked. It worked, and like I said, you know, I got that thing that was given to me probably 2 years ago, and like I said, I've never used it for anything. So for, you know, yeah, I welded a bunch of stuff on it, and now it is designated just for bending thick metal like that. But you know, I made it useful. So now it'll stay like that until I need to use it again, or, you know, if I gotta cut that stuff back off because I need it for something else, then we'll do that then. So, but cool. Maybe you guys figured out how to, you know, make yourself a little thick metal brake there by using your press. So maybe you guys can improve on it and make it so that these parts are detachable. I'm sure I could have done that as well if I would have spent a little more time on it. I think if I wanted to make this detachable, you know, of course the bottom just sits on here so that you can remove, and this top piece, instead of welding it to that bar, if we would have went, I don't have any, but if we would have went to the store and got a thick heavy duty pipe that would have fit this bar and welded that to the angle iron that could have just slipped on and off, you know, maybe we'll do that at another day. We're back out here on the Jeep today. We haven't finished the seat mounts yet. I'm kind of, I don't know, sidetracking a little bit, I guess. I need to get the seat in the truck. I think I need a hand getting that in there. If I can't get a hand here shortly, I'll attempt to do it myself. But, you know, it's a new seat. It was just wrapped. I'd rather not, you know, damage the new seat at all, you know, trying to do it by myself. So I figure while I wait and see if I can get a hand with that, I figured I would start working on this trans cooler thing here. We have to get it, so we have to, I want to take the trans cooler off of this bracket that they have made here, and we're going to paint the bracket black, and then we can put the trans cooler back on. But this thing is super bent out of shape, so I don't think it'll be too bad to straighten out. I'm thinking just put it in the vise and use some brute force and ignorance to get it straightened out. But first we gotta pull this trans cooler off. So let's get to that. It looks like it's just Allen keys and a couple of little nuts. They are a little rusty. Hopefully they'll come off. Once we get this guy straightened out here, hopefully that guy will straighten out when we bolt it down. Like I said, I think just some brute force and ignorance, I think, should get this guy straightened out. The way this thing was welded together, or if it really is bent. Let's see if that, oh, weren't even watching, huh? Well, anyways, I put it in the vise and I put a little force to it, and we got it straightened out. More. I got this light on top of you guys. That's what's weighing you down, making you point at the ground. Okay. Now it's sitting nice and flush. Before it was way off. See if we can straighten a couple of these fins out without cutting ourselves. I wish I had one of those fin straighteners. This is under the truck and you'll never see it, but if we can get some of them to straighten out, it'll look a little better if you do look under there. I don't even think if we would have had one of those straighteners, I don't think it would have worked on this one. It's not straight fins. They were all kind of like corrugated. Okay, I think everything's looking much better. This is pretty darn close to being straight. It might be off just a tad bit, but seems like every time I mess with it, it goes one way or the other. So this is close enough, I think. We straightened out all these fins for the most part. I think that looks a lot better. There's a couple of pretty badly damaged parts down on this side, but you know, it was a lot worse. So I think we will take this stuff, both of these, over to the parts washer, and we'll wash them up and see if we can get them cleaned again. And then yeah, we gotta get this guy painted black. So let's head to the parts washer. All right, well, like I said, I think it's definitely better than when we started. The piece is straightened out. We straightened out some of the fins. We got that cleaned up. I may, like I said, I may hit it with some engine gunk and then pressure wash it. But for right now, I'm gonna let this stuff sit and dry. We're gonna paint that bracket that holds that. We're gonna We're gonna paint that flat black. I just have some flat black POR 15. We're just gonna scuff it up and brush it on, and it is what it is. You know, I'm not trying to reinvent the wheel with the thing. We just need to keep moving forward with the truck, and you know, I just don't want to put a rusty piece back on there, so we're just gonna, like I said, clean it up, scuff it up. We'll hit it with some flat black, and we'll call it a day. So then we can, once it's, hopefully we'll get it flat black today, and then tomorrow we can put it back together and we can mount it back in the truck, and we can cross that one off of the list. The next thing that needs to be done back there, which is kind of the same thing we just did here, is the gas tank. But before we do the gas tank, there needs to be a bung put in for the return line. Since you know, it's getting the new LS motor in it, so it's got to get a return line added to the tank. Which my buddy that owns the truck bought one that's just it's like a compression fitting. You drill a hole in it, you put the thing in there, you tighten it up, and it squishes, kind of like a zerk nut, I guess. And then once that's done, we can paint it. I think he's gonna do that. So I should see him tomorrow. I can give him the gas tank and tell him to get that done. The ignition should be here today. So we can figure out, I think tomorrow we're gonna figure out where that goes, and then we can drill a hole for that. And then we need to move that the heater box forward about an inch or inch and a half or so. I think an inch would be good, but we'll see, you know, how much room we got to move that forward. And we need to figure out where we're gonna mount the switch for the vent. And then that will be done, and we can body work out the dashboard and get that primed. So oh yeah, dashboard's up there. So once we get that primed, I think we can cross that off the list. I don't have it on the painted side, I just have it on the body work and prime side. So once we get that body work and primed, we can cross that off the list. The seat is really close. Like I said, we just gotta put the seat in. I need to mark where the seat sits on those new braces that we made the other night. And then we can figure out where the holes are from those marks. We can drill the holes and get that actually mounted to the bottom of the seat, and then we can put it in. We can mark the holes where those new braces sit, and we can drill the holes for that. I think we're gonna make 4 plates about yay big for when the seat gets bolted in, it bolts to those plates. That way the metal from the truck is sandwiched between the brace and the plate, making it extra strong. We're definitely going to do it up front. Underneath, I might have to take a look underneath, because the seatbelt is right there, and then one of the braces that go down the back wall of the truck mounts right there as well. And I think these seat braces are going to be right in between those. There may not be enough room to actually make a square plate for underneath there. We'll have to see. It may just get a heavy duty washer. Whatever we have room for, we'll have to see. So, like I said, I'll be back out here in a little bit. We're gonna let this dry, and then we'll get a coat of paint put on that so that can dry, and then maybe I'll have some help to put the seat in, or I'll muscle it in there myself, one or the other. I will be back. It is lunchtime, so I'll see you guys a little bit later. Have a good afternoon. Alright, we're back out here after lunch, and I thought about it while we were eating lunch. Instead of just scuffing this and painting it with some PR15, I think we'll spend a few minutes, we'll clean it up, and we'll just rattle can it. It'll look better. So let's get this cleaned up, hope it cleans up nice, and go from there. Alright, well, we got this all cleaned up now. I'm glad that we ended up going this route, because the paint that I would have went over the top with the PR15, it literally just flaked all off. So it's better that we grinded it, sanded it. I threw it in the blast cabinet and I just hit all the welds to get all the loose paint off of the welds. Now we'll hang it up and we'll get it painted. So, all right, well, we got this thing hung up. You see me pre-clean it and wipe it down. I sprayed some adhesion promoter on it. It's been a few minutes. I've been sitting here shaking the can, so let's get some paint on it. Alright. Well, we'll put a couple more coats on it, and then I'm gonna hit it with a coat of some flat clear. Like I said before, I was gonna do it with the flat PR15. And the whole reason that I wanted to do some flat in there is just, I don't want you to get underneath the truck and it just be gloss everything. I would like to see a little contrast in there. I think when you get underneath there and it's just gloss everything, it looks like you didn't take nothing apart and you just painted it all. We took this whole truck apart. I want people to be able to see that you took it apart. So, yeah. So a little flat clear on it afterwards, and I'll show you guys what it looks like when it's done. See you guys soon. Alright, well, we got it all painted. I think it looks good. I'm happy that I spent the time to just clean it up. Another thing that we got to do when we cleaned it up was I rounded all the edges of everything. Which, you know, if I would have just scuffed it and painted it, I might not have did all that. I mean, maybe I would have, but you know, I think doing what we did, it looks a lot better. So it's straight, it got cleaned, edges got rounded, and it got painted. So much happier with the way that came out. And yeah, next on the list to be painted like that is the gas tank. I think I'm gonna attempt to muscle this seat in here, and see if we can get that figured out. Now there's I'm probably gonna have to go get some hardware to bolt this seat in. I'm gonna find something that threads into the bottom of the seat so that I can use it for a thread gauge at the store. And I think what I'm gonna get is a Torx head or even a Phillips head that is tapered, kind of like, you know, tapered like that, so that we can I can taper the hole on the bottom of our braces that we made, and then that way when we bolt them to the bottom of the seat, they're flush or flusher with that brace that we made. If I just use a nut down there, well, that nut will be sitting on the metal floor holding that brace up. So we need something that's kind of flush mounted or flusher mounted than an actual like nut would be. So we may, you know, I'll take a look around here and see what I got. I have a bunch of stuff here. So see, I'm looking for something like that, but this one's too big. You know, these might work, but these are flathead. I hate to use flatheads, but and those are too small. So like I said, I might have something here. I just got to dig through. But either way, like I said, I gotta find something like that, whether I go buy some or I have some here. But if I get the seat muscled in there, I'll be back. All right, so I got the seat in there. Tried to line up this corner the best I could on each side. I left a little bit of room back here, just finger width, so that you're not like, you know, I'd rather your back hit the backrest and not here, because this sticks out pretty far. And if I scoot it all the way up against the back, then this sticks out like, you know, right here. So I think when you would sit back, you'd hit your shoulder on that. So I left it forward a little bit. We got our bars in here. I got them marked. I did have to take out the these braces right here that were on the back. We cut them and cleaned up them the other day, and it was no big deal, but our seat bracket landed right smack dab where those were. And I could have left them there, and I could have cut our seat brackets back and re-drilled the hole, but we were going to be getting into the area where we wouldn't have been able to drill through, because we would have been getting into the end of that box area. So underneath the truck, there's a channel that's like yay big up in there where the seat belts mount to, those braces mounted in there, and where our seat is gonna mount. And I was afraid that if we cut that seat bracket back and re-drilled the hole, we would be getting, like, you know, too close up against this wall that's in there. So I just decided, instead of, you know, remaking, or, you know, I would have had to cut and re-drill. And then not only that, but how we have it right now, like if you look in between the back of the seat and the back wall, you can see the seat bolt. So, you know, if you ever need to remove that seat, it's right there. You can see it. If we would have cut and moved it up against the back of the seat, you wouldn't have seen that back there. So, you know, you would have been, you know, I don't know, struggling to get a wrench back there and see what you were doing. I don't know. I thought it was better to leave the seat brackets the way we originally made them and just remove those back wall braces. They weren't attached to anything, so, you know, like they weren't glued to the back wall or anything to keep it from flopping, or, which is what I would think that they would have been for, but, I don't know. Either way, we got it in there. I got it marked. Now I gotta get the seat back out, and we gotta mark everything for the bottom of the seat, for the seat bolts. So, and I think, like, looking at everything, it looks like we have enough room to just use a nut or a bolt, like so. And I went through everything that I had, and I could not find a single bolt that fit those threads. Whatever those threads are, I don't know what they are. And I looked all over the place for the seat brackets that I removed and the hardware for it. I can't even find that. I know my buddy said that I could keep them, so they're around here somewhere, but I don't know what I did with them. So I ended up just tapping out the bottom of the seat to fit bolts that I have. So we're good to go. I don't think we need to go to the store. We'll just we'll get it marked, we'll drill some holes, and we'll get it bolted down. We'll put it back in there. We'll mark the holes where everything sits, and go from there. So let me get the seat out. I think I'm just gonna set it on the back of the frame over there, and we'll do the work right there. Or maybe I'll set it up here. Maybe I'll just set it up here. That way we don't damage nothing. All right, well, I'll be back when I get the seat up here. All right, so while the seat was in there, I marked the front here. So, you know, it was about right like so. So now I gotta try and all right, let's see. Did we pull it off? I went one size bigger just to give us a little adjustment. All right, well, we got them on. So, went on no problem. I think that'll be good and sturdy. Now, let's see if I can get this thing back in the truck with those on there without damaging anything. Oi, it got heavier. Let's measure it. See if we can center that seat in there. Okay, so the braces that we just made bolted to the bottom of the seat. I have that, it's like 3.5 on each side, but I don't know, is it centered? So I don't think we can center it off of those braces. We have to center it off the seat itself. And that kind of, I guess that would kind of make sense. Like, I believe it's the driver's side. Like, there is way more room on the driver's side than there is on the passenger side. When we did the floor on that, like, the floor on the driver's side was 4 inches bigger than the floor on the passenger side. So, you know, I get, my guess is that that's what it has to do with. You know, what we were doing was we were measuring the brace to the edge of that box on each side, and we had it 3.5 inches on each side, so that was centered. But either those braces, like where they mount on the seat, it's off to one side, or it has to do with the cab being bigger on the driver's side. So what I'm gonna do, instead of doing it that way, so there's those 2 bars on each side of the window. I'm gonna measure from that bar over to where the center stitching is. You have the diamond plate and then you have the smooth center. So we'll measure from the bar over to where the smooth center starts, and the same thing on this side, and we'll center it that way. So I think we're pretty close, and it looks like, you know, the room between the door jamb and the seat looked to be about the same on both sides. Where when I walked around and I looked at it after we had the braces centered, you could tell that the seat was over to one side. So about 3 3/4 there. All right, I think that's. I think that's it. That's centered. The only thing that I see that I don't like, but I don't think that there's anything that we can do about it. It looks like the seat is sitting higher on the passenger side than it is on the driver's side, by like probably 1/4 of an inch. So I don't know if that's just the way that the seat was redone. You know, I don't know if it was an old seat that was redone, and looking at it, I don't know if you guys paid attention when I was sitting on the table. Like, they didn't redo any of the foam or anything like that. Like, they just made a new seat cover and put it on the old seat. So something could be bent in that old seat. It could be the foam could be more wore out on the driver's side than it is on the passenger side. You know, it may have been a seat that, you know, was well used on the driver's side, not the passenger side. So, you know, worst case scenario, when we go to put it in, you know, we could stick a couple of washers on the driver's side, to lift up that driver's side just a little bit, which is probably what we'll end up doing. But yeah, I think we're good to mark the holes, and drill those, and then we need to make the plates, like I said. So I'll find my marker wherever I left it, and we'll mark some holes. All right, Colleen came out, said that everything looks good. She agrees that the seat looks centered in the truck, so we're gonna mark those holes, and then we gotta drill everything out. So I'll get back to you guys when the seat's out and we're ready to drill some holes and make the backer plates for it. So see you guys shortly. All right, let's drill some holes, huh? Well, we got those welded up. Definitely we'll let those cool off. So we'll let those cool off, and then what I'm going to do is down on the bottom where these are going, at the front by where your feet go down there, those holes that we drilled in the front of that box, I'm going to drill 2 holes on like either side of the hole that we drilled in there, and then we'll nut and bolt this plate in there, and then we'll plug weld it so that those just stay in the vehicle. So but that'll probably happen tomorrow. It's getting late. I think I'm ready to call it a night. So I will see you guys tomorrow to finish this up. I've been thinking about it while I'm out here working on this stuff. So what I think I'm gonna do is the seat brackets that are on there, that we just made and we just bolted them on. We gotta take those off tomorrow and we gotta paint them. We're just gonna sand them up, paint them black. So while those are off, I'm gonna knock probably like a 1/2 inch off the end. We'll re-round the ends. And then I'm gonna put those braces back in. The 2 top bolts that hold it up against the back wall, those came out no problem. They're sitting over there. They came out no problem. Bottom ones, all 4 of them broke. So we're gonna put those back in, and then the seat bracket will sit on top of those, and when we bolt everything down, it'll hold those down to the bottom of the floor, and we should be good. And then we can put those back in there. I know my buddy that owns the Jeep, he told me to just take that stuff out, because those things were what the old seat mounted to, and since we're not using that old seat, you know, we weren't really using those, and he told me to just get rid of them. But I would feel better with them being back in there. You know, God forbid, you know, he gets rear-ended and it shoves the bed into the back of that cab. You know, then all that's behind you is sheet metal. So at least with those braces back in there, there's, I mean, they're not super strong, but they're better than just sheet metal. So I'd like to put those back in there just for added extra strength, just in case. So, yeah, maybe we'll even just weld them in on the bottom or put a couple of tacks in or something. You know, I don't see any reason for them to not need to be there, and I don't see any reason for them to ever have to come out. So, yeah. So that's what we'll work on tomorrow. We'll get these installed. We'll cut a little off of those braces, and we'll get those painted. We'll get those rear braces back in on that wall back there. And then, yeah, and then I think we can mark that one done, and I can see if he wants to take his seat back. Instead of it sitting here getting dirty, I'll wipe it down and clean it up, and he can take it back. I don't like it sitting here because I don't have room to just let it sit on the floor like that, so I've had it tilted up in the corner, and I've flipped it a couple of times. I have it set up on 2x4s because if it rains really, really hard, my shop leaks, so I don't want it sitting just on the floor because I don't want it to get wet. So it's sitting on 2x4s, and it keeps leaving the 2x4 imprints in the sides of the seat. And you know, it's brand new. He just got that thing wrapped, so I hate to have those marks in there. Now I flipped it not that long ago, and the marks are gone on the one side, but now they're back on the other side. So I'd rather wipe it off and let him have it over at his place and whatnot. So yeah, so we'll get that done. We'll mark that off the list. We can put that trans mount back together. We can kind of mark that off the list. You know, what I wanted to do to it is done, but we couldn't reinstall it in the truck because of where it mounts. It'll be in the way of me working on the back of the cab. So if we mount it in there, we're just gonna have to take it right back out. So I think I got paint, trans cooler, and install. We'll be able to mark paint, trans cooler off, but not the install. So, and then maybe once we get all that stuff done, we can work on moving that heater, and we should have the ignition here tomorrow, so we can put the ignition in. And then we can mark the heater off. The ignition I don't even have on there, so I guess we could write it up there and then mark it off. Yeah, so we'll just keep picking stuff that we can easily mark off the list, and we'll get we'll get some stuff. I want to get all the easy stuff off, like install the shocks. Like, those are easy, let's put them in. The only thing that sucks is I only have the front ones. I do not have the rear ones. I asked him if he got them the other day. He said no. Hopefully he'll get those, and we can mark those off. I'd like to just get all the easy stuff marked off, because that's that stuff that it adds up and it nickel and dimes you, and you have this huge list, and 10 of the things that are on there are simple. It just, it takes a day or two to get them done, and then they're done. So we finished up those brackets last night for the front of the seat, and I got those painted this morning. Well, at least the insides were, it's gonna mount in there. So I marked everything. I marked them out where they're at. We're gonna drill a couple holes and get those welded in. And then we're gonna make a couple for the back. I was looking underneath there. They're gonna be a bit skinny, but it's better than just mounting to straight sheet metal. So we'll make a couple for the back and we'll get those in. So, and we also, there's a bunch of holes that are up here from previous stuff. We're gonna weld those up too, because you can see them when the seat's in. So we'll get rid of those too. So, I'm sure you guys see this and you're wondering what's going on there. So we have, he brought me the ignition today, and we were kind of trying to find somewhere to put it. And the only spot to really put it would be like smack dab next to the radio that we installed up here, the big flat screen. And I'm just really not wanting to do that, because it will literally be right next to the radio. So I thought maybe we could do, kind of a waterfall floating style center console down there. So I just kind of whipped that up real fast this morning and took a couple of pictures and sent it to my buddy that owns the truck. He didn't say whether or not he liked it or not, but he said that he didn't see much of other options. So that is something that we're going to be playing with here in the future. Not that I want to add more work to the truck, but he has a fuel gauge that he needs to put in. He has an oil pressure gauge that he needs to put in. We have the key that we need to put in. There's this bracket right here that has a hole in it that I bet at one point in time had a cigarette lighter in there. And I was going to put a phone charger port there. We could get rid of that and we could put the phone charger port in the waterfall style center console. not totally set on the design that we have sitting there. That was just something that I spent like 15 minutes this morning kind of taking some measurements and cutting out some construction board paper and, drawing some pictures on it. And, that's what I came up with. I'm gonna do a couple different ones and see, what I might like better. I'm thinking maybe smaller. I have to put the gas pedal up in there and kind of see where the gas pedal sits, because I would hate for that to be in the way of your foot. So, we may do a little bit smaller and come up and whatnot. I don't know if we'll add this. I just kind of drew that up real quick. It matches what we put in the step. So, I would like to do something that ties everything in. We'll put the same roundness that we put in the floor that's in the dashboard and everything, so it all matches. But I'm thinking that that's probably gonna happen. Unless for some reason he changes his mind and says no. But as of this morning, he seemed like he was for it, so... What I just did here with this tool was I went in and I cleaned off the black paint inside the hole that I painted those brackets with. We're gonna get those welded in, and like I said, we're gonna weld up all the holes, these random holes that are here that you can still see, and then we'll make the back ones. Okay, make sure you guys are still on. Alright, you guys are still on. So, I don't know, can you guys see what I'm pretty much, this is where we cut our 2 squares out last night. So I'm just gonna go up a little bit, maybe an inch, and we'll cut that out. So we'll have 2 1-inch rectangles, and then I'll get underneath here. I'll have to have Colleen come out and mark them for me, and yeah, we'll go from there. So alright, so we got those made, we got them cleaned up. I'm gonna let them cool off. They are super duper hot. And then, like I said, I'll have Colleen come out. We'll mark the circles for it. We'll drill some holes. And we will weld some nuts to them. I think I'm gonna go, I might have to look through my stuff here real quick and go bigger. So I want to go with these. These are a little bit bigger of a bolt for the back. You know, I think a bigger bolt in the back would be better, because it, you know, God forbid you're into an accident, that back bolt is going to take all the you know, all the force. So I would have liked to put bigger plates in there, but last time I was underneath there looking, there's just no room for them. So we'll use the extra size bolt and, you know, hope for the best. So you know, we'll take a look back underneath there when we get underneath there with those. You know, if they're, yeah, I don't know. We'll just look. Like I said, so there's those braces that go down the back wall that we removed that I'm gonna end up putting back in, but the bolts broke off in the bottom. So those are down there, and they're right next to where this bolt's in at. So that's part of the reason why I can't put a bigger plate in there, because there's a plate down there for those with 2 broken off bolts in it. And then I want to say there's something else right there as well that is keeping us from putting the seat belts right there, keeping us from putting bigger things in there. But we'll take a look underneath there. You know, I'm almost wondering, like, if we could use this as a filler plate, put it in there, and then you know, put another one over the top of it that's a little bigger. I don't know. We'll have to see. All right, so we got these marked. I'm a little concerned about this one. Oops. The hole is pretty close to the edge. So we're gonna go with it and hope that we're okay. The other one, for some odd reason, I could not find center on it. But we'll get her. And see, this one we got it, you know, pretty centered this way, but it's not centered this way, and that's what I'm worried about, is that we're kind of close to this edge. But that's just where our hole got drilled in the truck. And then this one we're centered in between, which I'm more happier with, but I could not find center this way for some reason. So we're just gonna guess and get it in there. So we're just gonna go with the same bolts as what we used in the front. You know, I wanted to go with the bigger one, but if I go much bigger with the hole here, there's not gonna be no meat on the bone over there. So Okay, so I got those welded up while they cool off. I'm going to drill a couple holes in here next to our seatbelt, you know, where we're going to be mounting these. You know, I'm just going to do one on each side. I'm going to throw a quick coat on these. Alright, we'll let those dry, and I'm going to have Colleen come out and help me bolt those in so we can get those welded in tonight. That'll probably be the last thing that I do. And then tomorrow, we'll come back out here tomorrow. We'll pull the brackets that we made off of the bottom of the seat. Like I said, I want to cut like a 1/2 inch off of them. I want to put those braces back in on the back wall there. We'll end up painting the brackets on the bottom of the seat. We'll spray those. We'll get them sanded up and we'll spray those. And then we can call that done. My buddy that owns the truck is supposed to be, he said he was gonna grab it for me today. He's grabbing some doopy color interior paint so that I can paint those 2 red seatbelt buckles. Why the people who did the seat didn't do that, I don't know. But we're gonna do it so that they are black and not red. And then, like I said, I'm gonna wipe down the seat and he's gonna take it back with him, just till we're done. And then we will move forward. I think the next thing we're gonna do is we're gonna move that heater forward, where we need to move that, which is just drilling 4 holes. You know, measuring it out and drilling 4 holes, and that should be pretty simple. And then I think you know, we're gonna do that center console thing. Like I said, I'm gonna make a couple different ones out of the cardboard template, and I'll pick which one I like the best. And we'll go ahead and we'll make that in metal. And it'll look really nice when it's done. That'll get painted blue like the dashboard. Like I said, the rest of the interior is going black bed liner, so it'll look nice in the blue with some gauges in it and the key in it and whatnot. And I'm thinking I'm gonna make it so that it's removable. For one, it'll make it easier to put everything together when it comes to putting the interior together. And then for 2, if he absolutely hates it, he can take it out. So I'm gonna make it so that it bolts down to the floor, which sucks that we're gonna put 2 holes in the new floor that we just put in. But if he doesn't like it, just do a couple of, he can just do two button head style screws like this. We have some, we have some smaller ones. We can just do 2 button head style screws like this, and be well, not quite like that. A button head. Whatever, if you guys know what a button head is. But you know, you can put two little button head screws down there to fill up the holes and call it a day. So, but I'm sure it'll stay in there. But I'm thinking we'll make it removable so that it's easier to, you know, get behind the dashboard and install the radio. You know, we got the wiring that we got to run. I think it'll just make it easier. So I think we'll start on that next and get that done. And hopefully, you know, we won't spend more than a day on that and get that done. So little unplanned, I guess, little item to add, but I think it'll look good. And I think it'll solve some of our problems of where we're putting some of the accessory stuff. So anyways, I'll see you guys tomorrow, and yeah. We left off last night with doing these lower braces for the seat that we put in the corners. I welded them in. We just gotta grind them down real quick, and then I'm gonna put these rails back in. And then onto the seat braces. Like I said, we're gonna cut like a 1/2 inch off the back of the brace, and then we'll get them cleaned up and we'll get them painted. So I'm just gonna pop these things off since we have them out. Might as well just get them off. Alright, let's go put these guys back in. It looks like this one's all bent up for some reason. There's a bunch of damage on the one side. You can see there, this thing should be straight like this one. Alright, so I got those braces back in there in the back wall. Let's get these seat mounts off. Okay, we still got, I'm gonna still round up the edges, but I want to mount them back to the bottom of the seat and put the seat in and get everything bolted in and make sure that everything works. Then we'll clean up these edges, we'll DA them down, we'll shoot them with some paint, And then we can mark that one off the list. So all right, let's hope this all fits. I took a measurement before we made that cut. We ended up taking an inch off, so alright, that bad boy's in there. Alright, it's in there. I still think that it needs to come up on this side. You know, it looks like this side's a little lower, which I kind of seen that before. I got this good size. I don't know what these are for. There's actually one in the front of the grill mount there. These are out of my stash, but I think we'll have to get a little bit. I think the back needs longer bolts anyways. Probably all just needs longer bolts. So we'll get some longer bolts, and then I think for final put together, we will put this underneath this side of the seat just to raise it up a little bit. I also think maybe when the seat is out, where the seat is mounted, on the passenger side, like it looked like last night when I was looking at it, that it's humped up. So maybe we can grab like a 2x4 or something and smack that down. And then that'll drop the passenger side a little bit. So but I think we can pop those seat brackets back off. We can round those edges on the back and then get them painted. So I'm not gonna make you guys watch me take that seat out again, so I'll see you guys in a little bit when it's time to get these things ready for paint. All right, we got these braces out. I also got the seatbelt pocket things out, so we'll get those scuffed up and cleaned up, and we'll get these painted. Got some doopy color, flat black, vinyl and fabric, so it should match the seat good. Thanks to my buddy who owns the truck, he brought that by. Alright, I tried to use my little electric engraver to just mark a P for the passenger side. And as you can see, that wasn't really working. So I used my little rotary tool and we marked out a P on there. And at least now we know that that one is passenger side. Alright, I'm going to get those hung up out back or over on the other side. And then we'll come back and we'll scuff these seat things up and get those ready to go, and we'll get these painted. Be right back. Okay, so we got these seat pieces here. That for some odd reason the interior people did not paint. They put them back in red. So I used a little bit of lacquer thinner, just like have you guys seen the video of me doing the truck mirrors? Same thing, just red scuff pad, some lacquer thinner. For one, it kind of softens up the plastic. That gives you a little extra bite. And then, you know, being that this is from a seat, there is probably a 99.9% chance that this thing has had Armor All sprayed on it. So you want to make sure that all that Armor All is off of there, or it's going to cause fish eyes. Alright, so we got these prepped and cleaned up. We got those prepped and cleaned up and hanging. This is my Bully Dog adhesion promoter. If you guys haven't seen my previous videos, I swear by this stuff. I spray it on everything. Alright, we're going to give that some time to dry. I did hit these a little heavier than I would like, because I was trying to get it inside. What I may do is I may let this stuff dry for 10 minutes or so, and then I'm going to flip these over and we're going to spray them from the other side with this as well, just so that we can make sure that we get it all the way down inside the seatbelt cup or channel, whatever you want to call it, down inside the pocket there. And then we'll probably start with spraying them upside down, and then we'll flip them over and we'll spray the tops of them. So I'll be back after this stuff dries. I believe it's like 10 or 15 minutes between coats or something, or 10 or 15 minutes before you top coat. So because I put that on there so heavy, we're definitely going to weight that. I'll be back. Alright, I flipped these over. I put another coat on the bottom side of them, of the adhesion promoter. This is a 2-in-1. We're going to start the seat brackets. Those are ready to go. So. Alright, well, we got coat on those. We'll let that sit. I am going to hit that with the flat mat clear like we did with the trans cooler bracket. If I do the inside with the stuff that I have, so I have truck bed liner. I have like a gallon and a quart brand new of truck bed liner, and it's a Rust-Oleum stuff. I bought it for another project and never used it. I don't know how that stuff works, but I have like a hopper gun that is for spraying bed liner. So we're gonna put that in this hopper gun, and I'm gonna do a test panel, and we're gonna see how it comes out. If it doesn't look good, then what we're gonna do is we're just gonna order the actual, I can't think of the name of it right now. I forget what it is, but it's the most popular self-done bed liner that you can get. It's the same stuff I got for like doing the color inside the bed. And we'll order some of that, and we'll do it in that. That stuff is gloss. I have a feeling that the Rust-Oleum stuff, if we end up using it, will be flat. So I'm planning on using the Rust-Oleum stuff inside the cab, so it'll be flat in there. So we'll do these flat. If we do end up doing the gloss stuff, you know, maybe we'll rescuff those and do them in gloss so that they're not noticeable. Maybe we'll leave them, who knows. But anyways, I'm gonna start with them being flat black. So I'll be back in a few minutes. We'll put another coat on these, and we'll start with the first coat on our little seatbelt guys here. All right, got some of this Ruby color vinyl fabric stuff. This is what we're going to use on here. Light coats. I'm gonna blow another coat on this stuff, and then we'll switch over to the flat matte clear over there, and we'll get these flipped over, and we'll do the other side of these. So we'll be back. Well, we got our first coat on the top there. We'll let that sit. The seat braces are done. I got 3 coats of black on them and 2 coats of the flat clear. So yeah, we're done with those. We're gonna put 2 more coats on these, and then these will be done. And it is lunchtime, so I will I'll see you guys a little bit later. We'll probably pop these back in tomorrow. We'll let these sit overnight. We'll let those other guys sit till tomorrow too, and we'll set those over in the corner with the rest of the painted stuff that's ready to go back together. And I think later on this evening we will move that heater box that I keep saying for the last 3 days that we're gonna get that moved, so we'll get that moved tonight. And we also have the gas tank back here that we got to do some work on that, so we'll probably do some work on that tonight too. I'll see you guys back here after lunch. All right, we got those painted up, no longer red. That'll be much better, and hopefully they last. I've had good luck with using this stuff. I actually did, I did the seats in my Ford pickup out there with this, and that was, man, that was probably, I don't know, 10 years ago, maybe even more, and they're still black, and that was something that I daily drove that truck for a long time, so that was something that we sat on and got in and out, and they're still black. I have sprayed other interior panels, like for vehicles that were in an accident and one interior panel got damaged. We had to get another one, wasn't able to get it in the right color, and was able to paint it so that it matched the vehicle. and never had any issues with anything ever coming back or anything failing. So hopefully these will last a long time. I put 3 coats on there, so you know it's a little extra thick. They were pretty much coated in the first coat, so I'm hoping the couple extra coats on them will help with the longevity of it. With pulling a seatbelt in and out of there all the time, constantly rubbing on it. You know, I don't expect it to last forever, but hopefully it'll last for quite some time for them. So, anyways, those are done. The seat brackets are done. We are going to come over here and we are going to mark the seat brackets off of the list because they have been test fitted and they are painted. So where are we at here? Seat brackets right here. Look at this. Bam. So maybe another thing that we'll do a little later on this evening, we'll mount that trans cooler back to that bracket, and then we can mark that off the list. That just got painted yesterday morning. We left it overnight. We can put that back together this evening. We can mark that off the list. So, like I said, we're gonna move that heater later. We can mark that off the list. And we're gonna start this gas tank. I got some welding to do on the gas tank. This filler neck was loose and cracked all the way around. My buddy that owns the truck took the tank yesterday. He put this return bung in there. And he started welding that up over there, and it was just giving him nothing but problems. So he brought it over here last night. And I started welding on it. Excuse me. I started welding on it, and I wasn't having any problems welding it. He kept blowing holes in it. So we gotta go back. We gotta kind of clean up what he did and re-weld what he did, and then finish welding around all the way around it. Like I said, I wasn't blowing holes in it, but you could definitely tell that because of the impurities, the rust, paint, old tarnished gas, who knows, whatever's in between all that, it wasn't welding nice at all. So what we may end up doing is we'll run all the way around it, and then we'll come back and we'll run all the way around it again, because I find that when you're running into impurities like that and it's not welding nice, like your first round of welding usually gets rid of those impurities, and then your second round of welding you can come back and do a nicer weld. So we'll probably run around that twice and get that cleaned up. I am going to get just to be safe, and make sure that everything's good. I'm probably gonna get some of that like JB Weld gas tank repair kit, and I'm just gonna smear it around that filler neck. The welds are holding it, but just in case there's any leaks or anything, we'll just use that as a precaution, to make sure that it's sealed up. I'm not super worried about it because the filler neck is up on the top of the tank. So the only time that it would leak would be from splashing around. So I just think, a little extra precaution around there would be good. But I don't know if we'll get that painted tonight, but maybe tomorrow we can start painting it. We're gonna end up doing it in 2 sessions. Like we'll probably paint the top of it, and we'll let that sit overnight, and then we'll flip it over the next day and we'll paint the bottom of it. So, and then we can mark that off the list. Today's Thursday. This weekend we are going to a swap meet. So while I'm out at the swap meet, I'm gonna stop and I'm gonna see if I can find some of the gas tank repair stuff just to smooth around there. And then we can actually mount this back in the truck, and we can mark it off the list. He is trying to find a new sender, fuel tank sending unit that has a gas gauge on it. He pulled it out yesterday. It was kind of funny when he brought it over here. I wish we would have been videoing it. He took it with him. But he pulled it out and he showed it to me. And at the bottom of the float, they actually had a float from a carburetor baling wired around the unit. So yeah, so that was kind of funny. It fit with the rest of the build of the truck prior to it coming here. You know, everything was kind of held together with baling wire and you know, flathead screws. So it fit perfectly with everything else that was going on with the truck. But you know, we have gone through and we have fixed all that stuff. So hopefully he can find a new sending unit. You know, worst case scenario, we'll stick it back in there. I believe it worked, so we could always stick it back in there. Or, you know, maybe we can get our hands on some other kind of sending unit from something, and rob the parts off of it and put it on that so that it's actually a proper fix, I guess. But anyways, we'll figure it out. But hopefully in the next couple days we can mark that gas tank off the list too. So I will see you guys later. I'm going in for lunch. My tummy is grumbling. Have a good afternoon.